Hi everyone, thank you for joining in to this fireside chat that's about building a holistic social welfare brand. I'm Tanya Sehgal, part of the marketing team at Pepper Content, and we have some exciting speakers lined up for our next sessions as well. So stick around. As far as this one goes, we all know that a social welfare brand should be holistic, meaning that it should encompass all aspects of social welfare, which includes, providing for the basic needs of those in poverty, improving access to education and healthcare, protecting the rights of marginalized groups, and promoting social and economic justice. One such brand, as we all know, is the Hemkunt Foundation, and today we're joined by the hearts and brain behind Hemkunt Foundation, which is Harteerath Singh Ahluwalia, the founder, and moderating him is Trina Talukdar, who is the co-founder of Bolti Bal. So I think let's dive right in. We're already delayed. Sorry to keep our audience waiting. Over to you, Trina.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Harteerath. So
I think
excited to get a chance to speak to you. So I'm going to jump in with the questions right away because I have many, as I'm sure does our audience. So the first thing I was thinking of is, not if, but when a biopic is made on you. What have you thought of a name already? Has there already been a proposal?
so. I received not a biopic, but I received proposals for a lot of books already. But it's a long haul. अभी काफी जिंदगी बाकी है, and I haven't done anything to be honest. तो अभी बहुत काम करना है, बहुत सेवा करनी है, but
नाम
not
सोचा है
happening.
कोई?
I think it'll probably be something around the gift of Seva because it's a gift from me and gift for humanity. So yeah,
So
that's
I
pretty
thought
much
of a name actually. I'm going to gift you this name of your future biopic in today's conversation. I am calling your biopic Being Harteerath.
works out. It's super cool.
So the first thing I want to dive into with that is what is the story of Being Harteerath? How did you become what you're known as, this brand you are today? What is
I
that story?
mean, I was very different about 5 years ago, to be honest. I was a spoiled brat who didn't have an open mindset, to be honest. And I didn't even know मैंने जिंदगी में क्या करना है. But I was like कि chill करना है, but नहीं पता आगे क्या करना है. No goal at all. But I think life teaches you a lot of things, and a few incidents overturned my life completely. And I realized money doesn't bring you a lot of things, it doesn't bring you happiness at all. How do I keep myself content and happy? Is through seva. And as a kid, I always used to see, the Sikh community doing a lot of seva in all the gurdwaras, not just gurdwaras, but any disaster. You'll obviously see at least one guy wearing a turban doing seva. So I dekhta tha. I was like, let's give it a try. And when I did it, trust me, I got the best sleep ever at night. And I was like, bas yahi karna hai. This is going to be my mission in life. And obviously, we had Hemkunt Foundation in the family. My dad was running it, but I joined, and I'm here full time now. And I think I'm living a dream, to be honest. And it's the best thing that has ever happened to me.
Amazing. That's so wonderful to hear that you are getting to live your dream, and the universe is aligned in some way to make that possible for you and to find your purpose as well. That's just fantastic. And so so of course, it sounds like you grew up with this culture of seva as part of your community and your family, and you started doing what a calling from inside. But how did the story of you becoming Hartira the brand happen? How did you get to this point where you have an entire youth population following you, looking up to you, being inspired, a whole country's, celebrities to large philanthropies riling behind you to support you? So from Hartira, the young boy, sometimes a brat, sometimes not, to the Hartira that we see on the cover of Cosmopolitan, what was that journey?
I think I didn't really aim to be popular. कई लोगों का लाइफ में एम होता है मेरे को फेमस होना है. मेरा वो एम ही नहीं था. I was always focused on work. And Punjabis have this saying कि अगर right hand से भी काम करो ना, left hand को पता ही नहीं चलना चाहिए when you're doing good deeds. So it was the same thing, and I was simply doing seva. And first wave हुआ, second wave हुआ, I was getting recognition, I started getting calls from people कि, you know, we want you to be on the cover of Cosmopolitan. And I was like, हाँ, ठीक है. I didn't even imagine कि ये सब होएगा. I was basically thrown into the river that I have to swim on my own. I didn't have a team, to be honest. I had no eye for PR, no, I didn't know how to build a brand. But I think once you're thrown into a river and you have to swim, you will manage somehow. So I've learned actually while I'm at the job to how to build a brand. I actually used to be a very shy kid. So I never used to show my face on social media as well. Stories नहीं डालता था. I remember people used to tell me you need to be more personal, you need to be interactive with people. And I was like, नहीं, I just have to do seva. मैं उसी में खुश हूँ. But I think I learned everything while doing all of it. I realized it's important. If I don't have a personal brand, people won't connect to me. Hemkunt Foundation should be having a face. And once you have a face to it, people will be like, if something goes wrong, मेरे को इसकी गर्दन पकड़नी है. और अगर कोई अच्छा भी होता है, तब भी हमें इसको पकड़ना है. So it's very important to have a face behind everything, basically.
Absolutely. And you know what I think, I mean, I follow you obviously religiously, and whenever I look at your content, I always feel like the reason I, and I'm sure everyone else who follows you, love waking up in the morning and seeing your content is it's not about you celebrating yourself only, right? It's not just about you being like मैंने इतना सेवा किया और मुझे ये prize मिला and whatever, right? But your content is about an idea. So the brand you've really built is, you have a, like you said, there's a face to it, which is your face, but the brand is really built around an idea. It's this idea of making seva cool, right? As you have said in some interviews, etc. I've talked about. So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us some tips and tricks maybe for all the rest of us who are struggling maybe with brand building or on social media a little bit. How do you do that? How do you build a brand around an idea? How do you plan to make seva cool?
So I would like to make a correction here. I was introduced as the founder of Hemkunt Foundation. No, I'm not. My dad's the founder, but I've actually taken over the reins. Not even taken over the reins. I'm just a small part of a huge ocean here. And I'm trying to do my bit. But यहाँ पे, you know, wait, I've got the question itself.
How are you making seva cool?
Exactly.
वो idea को लेके आपका brand है actually,
Understood.
not
Yeah.
even just you. हाँ.
So, I mean, we've always seen the older generation doing seva. You know, there's this preset notion that जो लोग सेवा करते हैं, they'll be wearing a white kurta pajama, they'll be old uncles and aunties doing seva. उनका काम है, हमारा काम तो है. But no, seva is for everybody. उनको तो कम फर्क पड़ेगा ना, because they've lived their life. They're already in their 50s and 60s. We are the ones who are supposed to be the change makers. So we need to do it. And I thought कि अगर ये same preset notion चलेगा कि white कुर्ता पजामा पहन के सेवा करो, nobody is going to do seva. We have to make it cool. If you look at my reels, if you look at my stories, I'm doing seva, but there's a super trendy AP Dillon song behind it. Why? Because it has to be cool. You can't be presenting it in a very bland manner, because youth aega and you have to package it really well. It's all about packaging it and presenting it. Uh, Even if you're doing langar seva, make it cool and innovative. You do langar on wheels. Why have a kitchen which is just operational in a 10-kilometer radius? कितना आप खाना बांट दोगे 10 किलोमीटर के रेडियस में? But if your kitchen is actually on wheels, it's inside a bus, you can actually cater to a lot more people. So it's all about how you package your things and how you present it to the youth. And which is why I always say Seva is the new cool, because it is. Seva can change the world.
Absolutely. And I think that's so valuable because I think a lot of young people these days, and sometimes me and you as well, we feel like we are searching for a purpose in life, and in the lack of that purpose, sometimes we find young people these days are finding purposes that's not great for society. But here's a way to give them that purpose that serves everyone, right? So I think that's why it's so fantastic. The other thing I always think when I look at your content is how authentic it is. It is just like you waking up in the morning and being like, here is why you should wake up in the early in the morning as well. So I wanted to ask you, like, how authentic is it really? Do you plan your social media? Do you do like आज 3 post करने हैं 9 a.m. or is it truly as authentic as it seems? Or is there some strategy and plan also
It's super
required?
authentic. I mean, I never have a script. Even with TED Talks, I don't have a script. If I do, I won't be able to. I mean, I don't even read it. जब चाहे जबरदस्ती टीम ने बना दी मेरे लिए स्क्रिप्ट, it's still lying there somewhere. I don't even look at it because I think on the cover of Branch it said Harteerath is all heart. And I think that's true. I can't do scripted stuff. मेरे से नहीं होने वाला. So even with my content, it's very spontaneous. For example, I was at the Golden Temple. And it's basically a circle if you have to enter the temple. I'm जा रहा हूँ वहाँ से and I could hear sounds of utensils constantly. And I was searching कि लंगर hall कहाँ है? Where's the langar hall? And I made content around it that when you're hungry and you're constantly searching for langar की आवाज कहाँ से आ रही है वहां पे मैंने रील बना के डाल दिया and I think it reached about 1 million views already and I was like this is me and this is my content. You don't have to strategize it because I'm not a full-time content creator. I just do it for my passion because at the end my goal is कि I want hundreds of Harteerath Singhs, hundreds of Hemkunt Foundation. And if I plan my content, I don't think it will actually touch hearts. Planned में कभी नहीं होता. It's good to be planned, but not in everything. I'm a very organized person though, but not in terms
Absolutely.
of my content.
And I think that is the appeal of your content, because a lot of the influencers we see, etc., they have a whole team managing their content, right? And that was going to be one of my questions. It's like your content is so well curated. Is it managed by a team? But I don't need to ask that question anymore because you've answered
No, I
that
do obviously
already.
have editors. I have a wonderful bunch of team members. So they edit because obviously it's not my skill set to edit videos, right? You do need, if you do need help, always ask for it. अगर मैं खुद अपनी videos edit करने बैठूंगा, I won't be able to ideate and actually shoot content. So it's always good to have a team. And I'm blessed in this way. I have an amazing team. But spontaneous content best from there. Trust me, it will actually touch hearts and it will actually do wonders.
Absolutely. And so, you're talking about, I want there to be so many more Hartirat things basically in the world. So, are you finding that that's happening? Like, social media pe follow karna ek baat hai, but to actually show up on the ground to do seva, to this work is another thing, right? So, are you feeling like that's happening?
It
The people
started
showing
for
up on the
sure.
ground?
It started for sure. I mean, I started a trend a few months ago called Langar for Animals. Langar खाली इंसानों के लिए क्यों होना चाहिए? It's supposed to be there for everybody, all creatures. So I started this trend and I actually got a lot of DMs saying, we started giving food to animals, stray dogs outside our house. And actually, there was a 16-year-old kid who DM'd me saying, I started an NGO specifically for animals, which will only work for the welfare of animals. And I was like, यही तो चाहिए मेरे को. This is the main motive of my content.
That's those are such inspiring stories, really. And so that brings me to my next question, which is, oh, I'm so sorry. Which is what what inspires you the most? One thing, to, of course, you said doing seva just helps you feel better at night. But in terms of like other things that inspire you, is it that person on the ground you're managing to reach? Is it these other young people who are following you? Is it your family and them being proud of you? Like, what are all the things driving you behind? Like you said, working 24/7 sometimes for weeks at a stretch without a day off. So, lot of motivation needed for that. What are all the things doing that?
When you're on ground zero, it's a different experience altogether. It's like you're on a different planet, to be honest. And जब कोई दुआएं देता है ना आपको, trust me, it's a different feeling. Imagine a 60-year-old lady is telling you कि तेरी उम्र लंबी हो. These small small things, these small small phrases in our culture, and that's what I look forward to. किसी की दुआएं लग रही है मेरे को. This is what I want, and this is what keeps me motivated. If you actually see कि for example इसने 2 दिनों से खाना नहीं खाया and today by the grace of God, it's not me who's doing it, but by the grace of God he's gotten a thali of food. Best feeling in the world. It's a great feeling. So this is what I look forward to, and this is what is my inspiration, and this is what keeps me going every day.
Wow. And so now let's talk about the future a little bit. So far, we've talked about how you got here. So, of course, you got more and more inspired, specifically during the COVID pandemic, because it was an hour of such need. But now that crisis has passed, but of course, a lot of other work remains to be done. But that crisis is past. What are you focusing on right now? What are the plans for you and for Hemkunt Foundation going forward?
People don't realize, they only see the pandemic and what we've done in the pandemic, but there's a journey behind it. We're a 12-year-old organization. So we obviously do have plans in place. We have a vision. Recently, we announced, India's largest not-for-profit skill development center, which we've been working on since the past 5 years. Uska announcement abhi hua hai. And it's going to be in Madhya Pradesh. And Ranveer Singh is actually he's basically a goodwill ambassador for it, and he's helping us as well. So that's a flagship project where it will be a school for 1,000 kids, and we'll actually help them get employment. Uh, then we have our mobile medical units. After COVID, we realized healthcare infrastructure country में नहीं है. अगर बनाने बैठेंगे, so it will take us a lot of time and will take us a lot of money as well. So we need to be innovative. And this is where Seva is cool steps in. Cool ideas लाओ ना. Orthodox ideas के साथ काम नहीं करना हमने. And we decided, okay, we'll be actually getting the hospital to the people. The people don't have to come to the hospital anymore, which is why we started the hospital on wheels, mobile medical units, and we have 21 of these in the most remotest parts of the country, जहाँ पे dispensary भी नहीं है, hospital तो दूर की बात है. And we're working in Khatima, which is the Nepal and India border. We're working in Firozpur, which is the Indian-Pakistan border. मतलब जहाँ पे कोई जाने की भी नहीं सोचता, we want to work there. So that's our vision, to have 100 mobile medical units in the next 5 years and have 3 world-class skill development centers. ये main हमारे flagship projects है which we're working on.
That's amazing. I think those are definitely the top two needs in India currently. Between, 1 million Indians turn 18 every month, and so between the need for jobs for them and healthcare, I think absolutely the top two needs in the country. And sometimes I feel like because you are the face of Hemkunt Foundation and all these initiatives, it might seem like you are doing what you feel like, right? कि तुम्हें college खोलना था, तो you were like skill development center बनाते हैं. But from my other conversations with you, I know that that's not true. A lot of research and a lot of planning and a lot of consulting with experts in the sector goes behind the planning of these initiatives, right? So can you tell us a little bit about that? Tell us, what we never get to see, which is the backstage of the work.
Trust me, it's the most irritating and frustrating part, which is the research. ऐसा नहीं है मेरा मन किया मैं जाके on ground काम करूंगा, नहीं. There's a baseline survey involved. There are loads of surveys involved, not one baseline survey, but you need different perceptions. We'll actually send different people on ground. Then there'll be a report by an audit firm, for example, a PwC. They'll send a preliminary report. Then we'll actually talk to industry experts. For example, we spoke to a lot of people in the UK and the US. Are we on the right track? We spoke to a lot of sarpanches in the villages. We spoke to a lot of gram panchayats. क्या हम सही कर रहे हैं? Because at the end, it's not my money. I have a lot of burden on my shoulders because it's the public money. I can't be making a wrong move here. Which is why अगर कोई normal business 3 लोगों से बात करेगा, हम 10 लोगों से बात करेंगे to make an informed choice. So yeah, it's pretty extensive. I mean, six months की research होती है, reporting होती है, and then we start a project. So if you see a new project tomorrow, don't think कि मेरा mood कर गया कि आज मैं ये करूँगा. No, there's a lot of research behind it.
Exactly, which is what I wanted to highlight. So, and the other backstage kind of question I have for you is the team behind you. Then, right? Who are the people? So you are the face of the Hemkunt Foundation. You've brought up your father a few times, who's a big pillar of support for you, obviously. But backstage, who are these other people who are making all this work possible? And also, tell us a little bit about your team, your relationship with the team. How do you manage them?
So we have about 65 full-time employees. They will range from doctors, paramedics, nurses to project managers, project coordinators. We have a fundraising team. We have an impact analysis team. We have a research team. So we actually have loads of divisions. Although in the head office we only have about 20 people. Thank God we only have 20 people because otherwise मैं रात को घर जाता. And yeah, we have different divisions, different teams, and I mostly know all of them by their first names. I speak to them on a daily basis. uh, So yeah, it's a pretty small knit team, just 60 people, but we have 500 volunteers. There are core strength because at the end I can't be flying everybody from the head office whenever there's a disaster. The only reason why Hemkunt Foundation is successful is because we have volunteers in each and every state of the country. कहीं पे भी कोई भी disaster आता है, it only takes us a maximum of 3 hours to reach there. In the case of Assam floods, I actually took a flight from Delhi, but my team had actually started doing surveys there. That actually started procuring material. So this is why we are successful because we have volunteers in each and every state who are ready to give their heart and soul towards it.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Volunteers are the strength, and you can't have a team that's in every part of the country every time, right? So volunteers is our core strength in impact
100%.
work for sure. And the last few questions I want to ask you, Harteerath, are actually for very much for my personal learning, and they are around self care and well being. So you have this image, and I know from talking to you that you're a very work very hard, and you expect your team to work very hard, and you go days without breaks. And so in the middle of all this, how do you manage to take care of yourself, not burn out? You know, self preservation. Putting on
Yeah.
your when do you put on your own oxygen mask?
So I was just looking at my passport in the morning. I was like, expired bhi ho gaya. There's not even one stamp on the passport because first wave aaya, second wave aaya, third wave aaya. I'm like, it's already expired and I don't even have a single stamp on it. But I work really hard. I mean, I'm a workaholic and I love hustling. But I also like to take a break because I know if I break nahi lunga, I'll collapse. So once a month, I will try to take like 3, 4 chutiyan consecutively and go to a place which will re-energize me. For example, it's the Golden Temple for me, which is my go-to place. It will not just re-energize me, but my soul as well. And it's like the same. कि phone को charging पे लगाओगे तो phone चलेगा. If you don't throw Harteerath at the Golden Temple, Harteerath की battery charge नहीं होगी and he won't be able to operate. So it's the same thing for me. Like for example, I missed my flight in Bombay. I could have taken the next flight and come back to Delhi. But I realized it's a weekend anyway. मैं Delhi में जाके क्या काम करूँगा? So I decided to chill with friends in Bombay. So it's always good to take a break because if you don't, you won't be able to operate on the same pace you're operating and you'll collapse at some point of time. Like every morning as well, my mom will give me a tana कि तू इतना time क्यों लगाता है तैयार होने में? I wake up at 7, but I'll only exit my room at 10:30. Why? Because I love, getting ready. I love doing my skincare routine. I'll probably listen to music alongside and take my own time in the shower because this is the time I need to actually function at the pace I'm functioning every day. And if I don't, तो मैं काम ही नहीं कर पाऊंगा.
Exactly, exactly. And I think I really wanted to ask you this question because mostly from, successful people, we always hear the advice about work hard, all of this, but we rarely hear the self care advice, right? And I think it's so
Trust me,
important to do
work
that.
hard, play hard looks good on paper, but it isn't
Ha.
practical.
Yeah, I
मैं तो ये
agree.
बोलूंगा work hard, party hard, chill hard, and eat hard as well. I love eating food, and I mean, at least I make it a point कि 3 बारी मैंने हफ्ते में बाहर खाना ही है, and it'll have to be my favorite restaurant or cafe in Delhi because this is what keeps me going. If I don't take care of myself, uh, it's the same analogy. खुद को ऑक्सीजन मास्क लगाए नहीं या किसी और को ऑक्सीजन मास्क लगा रहे हो. It's the same thing. If you
That's
don't pamper
exactly it.
yourself, you have to actually spoil your inner child. Don't let your inner child die. और जब तक उसको बिगाड़ोगे नहीं वो ऑपरेट ही नहीं करेगा.
Absolutely. If there's one thing I'm taking away from this interview, and like I want to put it up, like print it out and put it as a quote, is this, it's this: take care of your inner child, right? उसको अगर खाना पसंद है, dance करना पसंद है, music, whatever, you need to feed that. That's absolutely fantastic. And actually, when you were talking about your morning routine, I was like, अरे सबसे important question तो रह गया. What is the skincare routine? But I, but I think I'll ask you that separately, privately, because your
Yeah.
skin is glowing. So that's the real
Thank you.
question I
Thank
think I
you.
want to get the answer to. But before we close for the day, Harteerath, I wanted to ask you. So we already know what your advice for young people these days is. We've talked about that quite a bit. It's all over your social media. I want to ask you if you have any advice for other social impact organizations that are doing similar work on the ground. what advice do you have for them on how they can build their brand? They can increase their impact in the ways you have.
I don't have a filter, so I'll be brutally honest. Don't
That's why we brought
focus.
you here.
Don't focus on PR and marketing. पहले काम करो, then go to people. We obviously see people raising funds first, कि हमें funding चाहिए वगैरह. But if you do it the other way around, you prove it to people that I've done this, I've achieved this, I've impacted so many lives, and you then go to people for funds and support, or be it recognition. तो वो लोग हंस के देंगे आपको. They'll be like, you deserve it. People usually do it the other way around, which I don't think is a great way. You make it a point, you put your foot down कि मैंने ये किया है, and I deserve it. People will be more than happy to support you. So focus on the real work. Focus on doing seva. Seva एक word हमें gift में ही मिला है. It's all about being selfless and not looking at the reward. Reward मत देखो, काम करो. You'll be the front runner there. Trust me. सेवा पे फोकस करो, फल पे नहीं. That's my one line. Focus on seva and not on the reward.
I'll have to print out and put too many Harteerath quotes on my wall at this point. But thank you so much, Harteerath. This has been such an exciting conversation to have. And, I'm seeing all the messages from the audience on the side, everyone saying brilliant ideas, so innovative, etc. So thank you so much for sharing all this with us. And with that, I'll hand over to our host, Tanya.
Awesome. No, I think maza aa gaya, Harteerath. I was sold on the first line because my grandfather lives by those. He's been living by those words. Something he used to say कि right हाथ से करो तो left को भी नहीं पता चले. And absolutely fantastic. I hope we get to talk. I get to contribute in my own way because seva bhav, as you said, is in all Punjabis, not Indians.
It comes naturally to us.
Yeah. So beautiful. No, it was amazing, and I will ping you. I know you're a busy man, but we'll connect personally also.
100%.
Thanks, Trina. Lovely moderation there, and we'll hop on to our next session. Audience, the next session is at 3:30. Join us. Meanwhile, thank you, Harteerath. Thank you, Trina.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Cool. Thank you. Bye.